Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you have ever taken a photo and thought, why doesn't this look how I imagined it? There's a very good chance it's because of these 4 settings. Today I'm going to explain the essential camera settings every beginner needs to understand: aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and exposure compensation. These aren't just digital camera settings. They apply to every camera, including film cameras. Once you understand these, you'll have much more control over your photos, whether you're shooting digital or film. In this video, I'll break them down simply and clearly. Before we get into the details, here's the big picture. Every photo you take needs the right amount of light to reach the film or sensor. These 4 settings control that light and give you creative control at the same time. On a digital camera, you change them on the menu or with dials and buttons. And right here is a Z8. And if you look at the camera, the front dial here changes the aperture, and the rear dial changes the shutter speed. And then in the settings, you change the aperture or the ISO, and then there's a button on it for doing the exposure compensation. On a film camera, you usually change them using physical dials and rings on the lens and camera body, and you can choose a film with a certain ISO or film speed. And here is a vintage camera, and here's the ring on the lens. That's your aperture, and then up here on top you have your shutter speed, and then you set the film speed on the aperture indicator, or it's film speed indicator, the ISO indicator right over here. And then there's also a way to adjust the exposure compensation. The principles are exactly the same, only the way you adjust them changes. Mastering these settings moves you from letting the camera make all the decisions to you being in control. The first 3 settings, aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, are often called the exposure triangle. Think of them as 3 sides of a triangle. They all work together to control how bright or dark your photo is. If you change one of them, you usually need to change at least one of the others to keep the same exposure. But changing them also changes the look of your photo in different ways. Let's go through each one. Aperture is the size of the opening inside your lens that lets the light through. It's measured in f-stops like f1.8, f4, f8, f16, f22. Here's the important part. A low f number, like f1.8 or 2.8, equals a wide opening, equals lots of light, plus shallow depth of field in a blurry background. A high f number, like f11 or 16, a small opening, less light, deep depth of field, everything sharp from front to back. And I'll give you a little example. Let's hope that we can actually see this on the camera. But if you look inside this lens right here, and right now it's set on a small aperture. Okay, you see the little small opening there? That's like f16. As I turn the aperture ring, let me turn it around so I see what I'm doing here. All right now it's on f16. And as we go down to f1.4, it opens up. Now we'll go back down 1 f-stop at a time. And 16. So you can see it's going, I'm manually opening the aperture now. You can see it opening and closing. All right, you also make creative changes with this. Use a wide aperture, a low number, f number, like f1.8 for portraits to make the background beautifully blurred. These are the portraits you always see on Instagram where the person's in perfect focus and then everything behind them is real blurry and just a mush of color. You use a narrower aperture, a higher f number like f16, for landscape when you want to get everything sharp from front to back. This works the same on film cameras. Many old lenses even have the aperture ring you turn by hand. Shutter speed is how long the shutter stays open to let light in and hit the film or the sensor. It's measured in fractions of a second or a second. It could be a whole second. So like 1/1000th, 1/60th of a second, 1/2 a second, or 2 seconds or 5 seconds for a long exposure. Fast shutter speeds, like 1/1000th of a second, they freeze motion. Slow shutter speeds, like 1/30th of a second and slower, can show motion blur. It also gives you creative use as well. You use a fast shutter speed to freeze a moving subject, like sports, kids running, or birds in flight, or you use a slow shutter speed to show movement, waterfalls, car-like trails, silky smooth water. An important tip: when you're hand holding the camera, try not to go slower than 1 over your focal length. So example, this lens is 85 millimeter, so you'd want to stay at 1/85th of a second or faster. So, that one doesn't round off that well in the shutter speeds. If you look at it, you've got like 15th of a second, 30th, 60th, 1/25th. So what you'd want to do is, since there's no 85th of a second in there, you'd want to run at 125th of a second. Again, this is exactly how shutter speed works on film cameras too. So whether it's film or digital or an ancient view camera or field camera, it all works the same. ISO controls how sensitive your camera's sensor or film is to light. So a low ISO, like 100 to 200, equals less sensitive, which means a cleaner image with less noise or grain. A high ISO, like 1600 or 3200 or higher, equals more sensitive and a brighter image, but more noise or grain. All right, and you can come up with a creative use of that as well. Use a low ISO when you have plenty of light, like on a sunny day, and use higher ISO when there's less light indoors or at night. But be aware that image quality can suffer greatly. On digital cameras, we call it noise, and that's because it is literally noise. It's signal noise on the sensor. So you're literally seeing the electric interference of the sensor. So that's why it's called noise. On film, it's called grain, and with a good reason. The cellulose on the film is covered in a film that is sensitive to light, and what's sensitive to light is the grains of silver in it, so that if you have a lower speed film like a 50 or 100, you're going to have very, very small grains. If you have a higher speed film like 400 or 1000, you're going to have bigger grain, so it shows up more in the picture. And it was always called grain, and then with the digital world it moved to noise. You can also in your editing software, you can actually enhance the grain or smooth it out as you see fit for your creative piece on this. But the bottom line is, the principle is the same. High ISO gives you more sensitivity but reduces image quality. All right, let's talk about exposure compensation. Trying to find a camera here to look at. Okay, if we look on this camera, you can see this dial right here. You can see a 0 down there, and it's green. Okay, it's a green 0, and then you got a -1, -2, and then in the other direction you got +1, +2. So that's what we're talking about right here with exposure compensation. This is the 4th setting every beginner should know. Exposure compensation. Most cameras have automatic or semi-automatic modes, like aperture priority, shutter priority, or even your program modes. In these modes, the camera tries to guess the correct exposure, but sometimes the camera gets it wrong. Typically with very bright scenes like beach or snow. And you'll come back and you'll look at your pictures and you'll see that they're kind of a grayish color, very dull. It's not that bright white snow you remember. This is where camera meters fail, and this is where the photographer steps in and corrects it. Okay. Exposure compensations lets you quickly tell the camera to make the photo brighter or darker without switching to full manual mode. On most cameras, like the one I just showed you, you got a 0 with +1, +2, -1, -2. The positive numbers will give you a brighter photo, and the negative numbers will give you a darker photo. It's one of the fastest ways to improve your photos when using semi-automatic modes. And here's what kind of happens with it. When you've got, say, a backlit subject, the sun is behind the person you're taking the picture of, and you're looking into the sun. When you take that picture, the camera is going to expose for the sun and the sky, which is going to make your subject really dark. Your sky will be looking very nice, but the subject will be completely in shadow, and you won't have any detail. So what you would do is you would open up the camera, you'd go +1 or +2, and that would wash the sky out a little bit, but it would properly light your subject. Some cameras actually have a little button on there. It's called a backlight button, like the little Nikon L35AFs. You hit that little button when you go to take a picture if it's backlit, and it'll automatically just open it up 2 stops and let you take a picture and get a correct exposure. Remember, the aperture, shutter speed, ISO all affect each other. If you open the aperture to let more light in, you might need to increase the shutter speed or lower the ISO to keep the same exposure. A simple way to start is this. Set your ISO first based on the lighting conditions. So if it's a bright sunny day, set it at ISO 100. Choose your aperture based on how much depth of field you want. So let's say you're taking a portrait. You don't want a lot of depth of field, so you're going to use a shallow depth of field, so a wide open aperture like f1.4 or 1.8. And then you let the camera choose the shutter speed if you're in aperture priority mode. If you're in manual mode, you got to meter it and do it yourself. But the only time you really need to use the exposure compensation is when the camera is getting the brightness wrong. So when you're at the beach, subject's backlit, in the snow, any of those situations, that's when you would use the exposure compensation. You're affecting the exposure, but the camera's already created what it thinks is the proper exposure, so you're just changing it to what it should be. This is a great way for beginners to take control without going fully manual right away. So there you have it. The 4 essential camera settings every beginner should understand. Aperture controls light and depth of field. Shutter speed controls light and motion. ISO controls sensitivity to light. And exposure compensation, which helps correct the camera's mistakes. That's the simple way to remember it. These settings have been fundamental to photography for decades, long before digital cameras existed. Whether you're shooting with a modern mirrorless camera or a classic film camera, the same principles apply. Start practicing with one setting at a time. You don't need to master everything immediately. What's the one setting you're most excited to try first? Aperture, shutter speed, ISO, or exposure compensation? Let me know in the comments below. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more practical photography tips for beginners. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Keep on shooting.